Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, everybody, Dr. Ong, this is Lily from Galley Dental and Sleep Better MetroWest. Lily, this is Dr. Ong from Amherst Village Dental in New Hampshire, and Jen. And
Yeah.
Jen, you are do you work in the practice
Yeah.
or? Okay. Okay.
She's the
So,
one who's calling all the leads.
okay, perfect. So, I guess Jen and Dr. Ong, maybe you can explain to Lily some of the hurdles that you guys are coming up against. And Lily, I sent you and I replied to your email and
Yeah.
kind of shared a few details about how many leads they've generated over the last 90 days. But maybe you guys could share a little bit about the hurdles that you guys are coming up against right now, and then we can go from there.
So I think a big thing is we have a lot of people calling with Mass Health with the state health insurance. And obviously it's not covered under that. And then we also have, once you tell people the price, if the insurance doesn't cover it, there's no way that it's happening. So, and then you have the people that, think that they have sleep apnea, they they don't want to go through they don't want to have a sleep, even though it's at home, they don't want to do that. They just kind of want to have the appliance. And
Well, do they want to pay 500? Is it 500 to 250 to get tested either?
Yeah. So I think once you hit the money part with somebody and you're trying to explain, then you're trying to still explain the benefit of sleep apnea and how it can help them. They just, I'll get back to you, or you can take my name off the list for now.
Okay.
So, it's really once you hit the money, you lose them, and then they say, please take me off the list.
So are they mainly patients that haven't been diagnosed yet? Or
people call and have severe, but they already have CPAP machines. So they're not our patients that have come into our office yet. They're just, obviously people that are just inquiring online. So once they call or I reach out to them and talk to them, and then they say, well, how much would it cost if the insurance doesn't cover it? Once I start going through the numbers, they're gone.
So what is sorry, Todd, is it okay if I ask questions?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm just here to facilitate.
Okay. So I call in and I say, I have sleep apnea. I have Blue Cross insurance. What's the next step?
So I would ask them to send their card in email so that we can see what kind of Blue Cross it is. They usually send it pretty fast if they're actually interested. That's another thing. If they're like, oh yeah, I don't have my card on me right now and I don't want to send it right now, then I'm kind of like, okay, like you can get back to us or what. So I can kind of feel out right from the start when someone's like, oh, actually, like I've made a mistake. Like I've had people say like, oh, I clicked on you by mistake. I mean, I do have sleep apnea, but I don't want you to call me anymore.
Yeah,
So,
I entered my name, phone number, and email by mistake.
I know, I love it.
I want to say that to anyone who's like, I don't want you to call me. I'm like, you gave me your real phone number.
Like, how do you think I got a hold of you?
I love it.
Sorry to call you, but you literally gave me
You
everything
asked for it.
about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I just say we take a deposit, obviously, when you come in for your impressions. Well, first they can have a consultation, which a lot of people are like, no, I just want to come in and have the sleep appliance. Can you just give me the sleep appliance? Like, is it something that I can walk out with that day? So it's almost like they think it's like instant gratification, just like a CPAP machine. Like, I just got my CPAP machine. So then I have to explain all the steps. Like, you come in, you speak to him, you try and understand what the device is about. And then I think it's it's overwhelming for people. And then once you hit the money.
So with the calls that I get, the money is usually like only if they ask me 3 times, then I'll tell them the money.
Really?
Because most of the time I'm able to get it taken care of by their insurance, and a good portion of it. Like, unless they have like a really awful insurance, like with like a $10,000 deductible or like a ridiculous, or they haven't touched sleep apnea at all. Those are the ones that are like a little bit of a hurdle because they're not totally vested in sleep apnea. So I usually start with like, have you been diagnosed with sleep apnea? And it's usually like a yes, I have the CPAP, I hate it. Why do you hate it? So then you start to like almost trigger them why they messaged you. Like they didn't obviously do it wrong, basically, And so you ask them like, what do you hate about it? And then what we do, and I know Todd, like we've talked about this before, we actually do a Zoom call first. And that's with me. And I go through, by that point, they've filled out a medical history, or a sleep screener, basically.
Are you guys using Epworth or like a bed partner form? What are you guys using, Lily?
It's an Epworth, but then it's also like, have you ever fallen asleep at the wheel? Or it has the Epworth questions, but then it also has like, do you have the hypertension, the high blood pressure, has anyone heard you snoring, that sort of thing. Just to start a conversation, basically, unless they've already been diagnosed. If they've already been diagnosed, they kind of go right into, let's get your health history. Let's figure out if you're a good candidate. So with that, it's complimentary. They get online with me, 20 minutes, half hour. And at the end of that, I've already gotten their insurance. I've already gotten like where they are, and I build value in it. Like, let's see, I've gotten what I need. I can go back to your insurance, get the authorizations. And I know this is like totally different than other people in DSP. But when someone comes into the office, I've already gotten their authorization. I already know what they're going to be paying out of pocket before, and they know what they're going to be paying out of pocket before they come in for the impressions.
Just curious, who do you guys work with for the medical billing and all that?
So I do my own medical billing, but I do my verification of benefits. Is it okay if I mention other companies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I use GoGo billing.
Okay.
And it's a one-page form for verification of benefits. And I do that, and I give them the insurance cards. And so they're just verifying, do they have coverage for this? Yes or no. And that's it.
So do you take both PPO, HMO, and all that?
We are only in network, and I only got an exception of in network with Blue Cross,
Okay.
HMO. We are out of network with the PPO from our dental practice, so we don't get in network dentally medical PPO. So what we do is we just have an understanding with the patients. You know what? You're going to get the check. You just sign it over to me. And then
isn't it true that do you guys know exactly how much they're going to reimburse for an HMO Blue Cross Blue Shield?
So an HMO Blue Cross Blue Shield, it was an exception because my husband's actually a diplomat of the American Board of Dental Sleep Medicine. So they approved it because they're awful like before. And his diplomat test was, he was due March of 2020. And I'm like, so he just needs to sit, and they're like, no, you need to get the actual certification and then we'll approve you. So
they want that in order to get you into in-network. Into
the in-network of the HMO. But otherwise, the PPOs, there's usually no problem. And then, like you said, Jen, the Mass Health, there's like no option. They don't approve dental doing it. But then on those, I'll let them know, it's still a serious issue. So you should still consider doing it. And we have payment plans. And so sometimes I'll have them go with like a care credit or a lending club.
I do mention that we have care credit, but a lot of them.
No. Just curious, what do you guys charge for the appliance?
We charge $7,000.
See, wow.
But our cash payment.
$7,000 from HMO, Blue Cross.
Yeah. Yeah. The diplomat is worth it, if nothing else.
I guess it's worth it.
Yeah. And now it's so much easier because they're doing it online. He had to travel out to Chicago for his entire course, so it's much easier.
How long does it take?
He started it in July 2019 and was ready to sit for the board in March. So it's not too long, but it is a commitment because you still have to submit your 5 cases and with all the documentation and whatnot.
Mhm.
But
So,
it's worth it.
so Lily, with kind of finances, and Jen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but with finances being kind of the primary hurdle that patients are pressing on the phone, like, well, how much is it? Like, just tell me how much it is, and I don't.
That's even in text before I even sometimes talk to them on the phone. Like, well, how
Yeah.
much is it? Like,
Yeah.
So those patients, I'll tell them, like, not everyone's a good candidate for it. And so that's why I like to do the Zoom first. So then I can kind of feel them out and like feel like how committed they are to it. Because then when they come in, because I still tell them, I said, you know what, we'll come in for the exam. And if you're a good candidate, Dr. Galley will do your impressions that day and then you'll be on your way. So he like walks in for his exam. He's like, I can't wait to know if I'm a good candidate for this. Like, because we put so much value into, not everyone's a candidate for it. Not everyone can.
So, you guys charge 7. We're only talking about $2,600, and they're already balking at that.
Because I don't know if I think if they're only focused on the money part of it and not the benefit of it. Like I feel, and I told you this before, Todd, I feel like the easiest ones are patients that hate their CPAP because they've already gone through it. And then the other aspect, when you have patients saying like, oh, it's so much, which we get all the time, we tell them that it's the same thing money, like out of pocket wise, as their CPAP, but CPAP is giving it to them month by month because they have the disposables and they have the masks and all of that. So that all is their monthly fee, basically, whereas the oral appliance is a one and done, basically. So that's kind of where we go.
So if the patient is really harping on getting a price out of Jen or Dr. Ong, whoever they're speaking to, how do you like kind of role play? How do you, I don't want to say you sidestep the question or you're avoiding the question, but you're redirecting their focus essentially, right? So, so if I said, if I call in, you're like, hey, this is Lily. And I just say, I actually just want to know how much this costs. Can you tell me how much it costs? What would be your response to that?
So again, like you said, redirect the question, say, how much do you have sleep apnea? Have you already been diagnosed? And then start going into how long have you, why are you looking for another alternative? Okay. Because I can give you the price, but it won't make any difference if you don't already know what a CPAP is like or something like that, something to that. Yeah. Kind of redirecting what they're talking about and focused on. Because
I know I do this on calls with doctors when they ask about the price of dental sleep profits. When they ask, there's some who just immediately just tell me how much it costs. I'm doing some research. I was like, well, I actually don't even know if our program's a good fit for you. So,
and that's what
we can get to that, but let me ask you a few questions real quick. So, do you experience this, or how many patients have you screened? So it's kind of similar to that with the sleep appliance.
Yeah, because you will every once in a while get them, and then they're like, so what's the cost? And like, it's so out of like our cash payment cost is $3,500. So I said, yeah, it's $3,500, and they're like, oh, that's a lot. And you're just like, yeah, but at the end of the day, if you're not using your CPAP, you're not maintaining your sleep apnea, it's only going to get worse. But it's your choice.
That's kind of the line that I go to after they say it. But I mean, I had someone say, I don't have that kind of coin, and pretty much hung up. So
that kind of coin.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah,
and sometimes that happens. Like
it's very interesting. And then some people just immediately, when I call and identify who I am, just are like hanging up, like, no, take me off the list. So, but there hasn't been one patient that I've gotten that hasn't started out with, well, how much is it? So it's not like that's a rare, it's like a constant question with the people that are contacting us. It's like, in text message, then I get on the phone and then, well, how much is it? Well, how much is it? Well, so
So maybe redirect it and say, you know what, our appliance isn't for everyone. So I can give you the price, but it won't give you any value as to what it will do for you. And then I think I don't know if I told you, Todd, one of the people that like messaged in and wanted an appointment, I called him back and I said, hi, it's Lily from Sleep Better MetroWest. I'm all set. I don't need a mortgage. And I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? So I like hung up.
I'm all set. I don't need a mortgage.
I'm like, okay, that's great.
Don't.
And
Yeah.
so then he calls back, he texts back and he's like, wait, I think you guys are the sleep apnea like ad that I wanted.
Oh,
I clicked on something when I was redoing my mortgage for Quicken and I've gotten like no less than like 15 calls.
Oh.
Can you please call me back? So
I feel like people just think it's a good idea at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. Jen,
well, that's
what's,
why I'd be like, so why did you click on my, like, what was it about my ad that made you click on it?
I do ask them, and then they're like, well, I hate my CPAP, or I'm like, okay, so you're in the right place. But then as we talk more, and then it's like, well, how much does it cost? Well, you're not a medical doc. He's not a medical doctor. He's a dentist. How much does it cost? That's another thing. I feel like people always are like, well, the dentist is expensive compared to like going to a doctor. So it's like, as soon as you're like, well, he's a dentist. Oh, well, how much is this going to cost?
Well, so that's when I
It's not
say
like
that.
going to a regular doctor, it's like you're going to a dentist. So,
Well, from us, like that's where I'll say like he's done extensive research and extensive training, so he's recognized by medical and dental for the treatment of sleep apnea.
which I do use that. So, but it's just, I think that it's just natural that people, especially in this day and age, are like, oh, well, how much is it? How much is it?
yeah.
And it's not like something to be discredited, and I totally get it, but at the end of the day, like I always tell them, and especially the ones that I find are easiest to kind of convert are the ones that have already had a CPAP, because then you kind of just like kind of pull on the strings of like, why do you hate it so much? Like, and then I make a joke of, where is it in the bedroom? Is it on the nightstand? Is it in the corner? Has it made it to the bathroom or the garage yet? So like, that's kind of, and then I'm like, but what are you doing with it? And then when they're really hard, I'll ask them, when was the last time you've dreamed? And then that kind of, they're like, I haven't. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's one of the things that, our patients really like about the appliance, that they're actually getting dreams again.
Like a deep sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Jen was able to kind of, I would say, twist the knife to create more frustration with her patient's current situation, like you were saying, Lily, where's the CPAP located in your room? Are you still sleeping with your partner? How often are you cleaning the CPAP, or how often do you have to clean that?
Yeah,
That's something that I do mention too. I mentioned like, how often do you actually change your stuff out and clean it? And a lot of them are concerned about that because of the commercial, the cleaning.
Yeah, so clean.
Yeah,
so clean.
So I think if whatever you can do to create more frustration with their current situation, and this has been my experience in sales as well. Anytime you can paint a picture of where they want to be with their health and where they're currently at, and you being the best solution to get them from point A to point B, oftentimes the question of how much comes up less often. You're always going to have people that are just very forward. It's like, shut up. I want to know how much it costs. Quit trying to play with me. I don't have that much coin.
and you tell them and you're like, okay, I wish you well. And then it's funny. I've gotten some of those call back and they're like, I figured out how to make it work. Just because, again, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, Todd.
No, you're fine.
Just because it's something frustrating for them. They know they have an issue. They know they're not getting fixed with what they're currently using, if they're even using it. Like when you use a CPAP twice a week, it's not really doing anything for you. And that's another question that I'll ask, like, oh, I have a CPAP. Oh, how many times are you using it? 3 to 4. What are you doing the other 3 days, you know? And just because we had a weird situation with our ads, and I called a woman and she was like, Facebook's all scam and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. Like, I'm here. Like, I'm a live person. I'm trying to help you. Like, but that's fine. And then she's coming in today for an appointment. So like, we got her all the way through the setup. So people that have the CPAP, they are struggling with what to do. Because I mean, my dad is a CPAP lover. Like, he won't, like, we've got him a dental device, but he's still like, nope, I like my CPAP. It helps. That's great. If it works, it works. But there's so many patients that obviously you guys are getting over 140 leads in 90 days that are not in that situation.
That's another question. Like, how many people actually answer
Your leads.
Like, how many? Yeah, because I leave voicemail after voicemail, like, and then I move them to the next column. Then I'm like, I feel like they're pretty. If they haven't called me back by now, like, they're not going to. So I mean,
yeah. What is the call rate for you guys?
So I had someone that I moved to like column 4, like after the 4th call, and she called me yesterday. Like, people are busy, so, you know.
But what is your percentage on the whole? Do you guys track that?
To reach them?
Yeah, like let's say 100 leads comes in.
So I'm not at 100 yet. Like, I haven't gotten that far. Like, we've only been in the system for
like a month and a half.
Yeah.
How many leads do you guys have so far?
I'm just getting into it right now.
They have
Thank God
80.
for the dashboard.
They have 82 so far.
Mm-hmm. And so, how many are actually in conversation out of the 80?
In conversation?
Yeah, that you actually have a live person talking to you.
So I have. This isn't updated, but I have 4 in active treatment. They came in for their impressions and they're finishing. And then I have, what is that, 24 in process, trying to figure out where we are.
yeah, we're not.
So that's 28 out of the 82 that are in conversation or in active treatment.
Yeah.
What do we have? I think we have less than that.
A lot less.
Let me look at you guys.
Using the computer where it's on, but
Amherst. Let me look for you guys. So let's see. And Jen, one thing that we've been discussing with both you and Kim is and it doesn't look like it's updated in your dashboard yet. Oh yeah, Deanna just moved state insurance. I see.
yeah, we want it at the end.
Yeah. So that will help. I know you guys haven't had that feature for a while, like a long time.
It was just this week it was changed.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to better prioritize who you're following up with. If you literally, if not a single Mass Health person has ever paid cash for an appliance, even if it was 1 in 500 that moved forward and paid cash or got financing to do it, it's still not worth your time to follow up with that many people for one appliance. So this will help you guys out in prioritizing. So I think that needs to be given some time in order to play out. But
I have a lot of people that contact us and then they're like, well, I'm very far away. Then I do try and make, the value. And then they're like, well, I'm going to call around and see if I can go to a different dentist around me. So I feel like it also opens up the gates for them to be like, oh, dentists do this, So sometimes we get people from like Maine. I know, I don't know how the ads are, so sometimes are. Yeah.
So the other part of it is that might help that aspect of it is doing the Zoom first.
Okay.
just setting up a Zoom, gaining the value in it, and then letting them know that. So with my patients, we do the Zoom, obviously on Zoom. They come in for the impression and exam. I make that a longer appointment, and we do the delivery appointment. And then after that, as long as like he feels that they are able to adjust properly, he will keep them on Zoom. So that kind of diffuses the "you're so far away from me." And then when they say, "Oh, other dentists do this," yeah, but my dentist has the training in it. Everyone can do it, but you need to have the longevity of actually, it's not just like, because a lot of the patients that come have done like a boil and bite, and then their bite is like completely off because they've been playing with something on Amazon or online. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. At least, and so I don't tell them they're an idiot, but I tell them like, great, now you know that something, like now you know how to sleep with something in your mouth. That's half the battle. And like,
Good. That's a good way to put it.
yeah, it's like a very like politically correct way to put it, that what are you doing? And so I just tell them, half the battle is just getting used to something in your mouth. Other than that, the device just works. And then so we do the Zoom, and then they come in for their impression exam. If they're a good candidate, they'll come back for a delivery. And then from there, it's all online. So it diffuses the part of "you're so far away," but yeah, we're the best around. So
Yeah.
decide what you want.
Jen, I have an idea that might help us out and help you guys out a lot, actually. When you're calling the leads, are you just using a cell phone, or are you dialing the phone at the office?
I use the phone at the office. I use that, and then I also call from the actual.
Okay, so if you could start calling from using that phone button on the dashboard, we can actually record every single call.
Okay.
And
hard at the office though to call from.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because if you're at the office at a desktop computer or something, basically you would have to get a headset and plug it into the computer with a mic or something like that, so that we could hear you and
we can get
the
that.
patient.
We can easily get that.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what that button's for.
Yeah, you just saw the call button.
Oh, that you can call from the computer.
Yeah. So we actually have clients who do this, who only call from the dashboard, and then the doctor will come in at the end of the week and randomly select 5 to 7 calls to listen to. And he will come, he just has an incredible amount of training. So he comes in, and in their Friday huddle, he goes, "All right, let's all review 5 calls together." And as a team, they will say, "Okay, here's how this could have been handled better," or "Here's what was done right. We need to focus on doing more of this in these calls. What about these calls went right? What could have been done better? What do we need to remove from the discussion completely?" So I
don't think I'm making contact with like 5 people a week. That's the whole, like, making the calls, leaving the voicemails. I'm not getting a lot of callbacks. Like it's a lot. What are you
leaving on the voicemail?
That it's Jen from Amherst Village Dental, and I'm following up on the sleep apnea device that you inquired about.
So I like when I get one of those calls, I say, "Hi, it's Lily from Dr. Galley's office from Sleep Better MetroWest, just following up on the complimentary consult. How can we help you with your better sleep?
Okay.
Give me a call back."
Okay.
Again, I'm not like by any means not telling you that I know what is right, because people are not like in a cookie cutter. So like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then the emails, sometimes they'll respond back like, "Stop, leave me alone." Okay.
That's what I get. Or the text message. Sometimes they don't even give their phone number, but they'll give their email. And then the first email will go out, then they'll just say stop. So
and again, like at least, so Like I used to get like very frustrated that like I've called, they don't answer. Like, what am I doing wrong? Blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, as long as they kind of know something's happening, they're gonna get help. It's all about like overall health. Like, of course, it's about like getting the patient into an appliance. But if nothing else, they're like, I think I'm gonna just try my CPAP for a little bit. Great. At least you're getting the help. But when you're frustrated again, you have my number. Give me a call.
I do always leave that if I do make contact, like, oh, well, we're always here to help you, you know.
Okay.
It's frustrating because like you don't know what you're gonna like pick up on. And then I have the ones that are like, I need a Spanish speaking person.
I did get one of those.
Like,
I did get one of those. like literally she was saying it in Spanish. And I'm like, sorry.
I understand what you say, but I don't know how to answer you. Yeah.
So yeah, I think she called back again and said the same thing. So it's hard because I didn't know Spanish at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know if this was helpful. I mean,
it was helpful. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things, you know, reflecting that I'm going to try on the people that are left, but it's just hard to like make contact with somebody. I feel like a lot of things happen in the middle of the night. I notice, like I wake up and then I see a pattern.
Because they're not
like,
sleeping.
They're not, and they're clicking on stuff. And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, like 5 people. Then, you know, then you have maybe 1 or 2 of them stop. The other day I had someone, I made a mistake, don't contact me. Like, so every day when I wake up and I see the 5 people or the 2 people, I'm like, okay, good, yay. And then it's kind of like I'm trying to move.
Jen, I'm actually wondering if that's something that you could use in your call, even if you're leaving a voicemail.
That's what I was saying.
I noticed, you know, you can say, I noticed that you requested, your request came into us at like 1 a.m. Are you normally up at that time?
And so so I kind of use that as a trigger of whether they're a morning person or a night person. So if they do message me at like 1, I won't call them until like the afternoon, just because.
That's what I've been trying to do, because I noticed that, you know, they're in the middle of the night doing it, and then, you know, I don't contact them till like.
Yeah, we're just not getting the response. I mean, from the number of leads, I think, and even then, the ones that actually are in conversation, I guess, once they want to know the money, they're like, yeah, no. I think that's the gist of what I'm hearing. Basically.
And we had a person come in who seemed very interested, but then he just left. Like it was almost like he was like, no, actually, I don't want to do this. He actually came in. So.
I mean, I had some patients that are like that too. Like all of a sudden, so I've been doing the Zooms since last March, and finally, like just last week, a patient was like, can I see the device in person? Because I'll show it to them like online. Yeah. And all of a sudden he looks at my hands, he looks at the device, he goes, your hands are so small, you make the device look huge. And I'm like, no one's told me this in a year. And so I keep telling them, but it's, you know, it's custom made to your mouth. And they're like, this is your fault, your hands are so small. I'm like, sorry.
People are funny.
It's kind of just rolling with it, because like it's tough. Like I had one patient totally involved, totally understood the finances, comes in, he ended up being an ex-veteran and he had PTSD, so that's why he couldn't wear his CPAP. But then the thought of something coming near his mouth also threw him off. But I'm like, I kind of told you that this is what it is.
I think most people have a gag reflex when they have sleep apnea issue. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I think Zoom is going to cut us off here in about, time remaining 3:23. Okay. But as far as an action plan for you guys, Jen, do you feel kind of confident in maybe some how to shift the discussions on the front end if you're able to have those discussions? Do you feel like you have enough to go on there for now?
Yeah, for people that I actually talk to.
Yeah. And I will note that statistically the time frames that you're most likely to get a hold of someone on the phone are between 8 and 9 a.m. and 4 and 7 p.m.
Yeah. So I
Those-
usually try
Those
and do
two windows.
Thursdays around for people that I haven't been able to contact at like 4-ish. I usually start
Okay.
because I have it on my home computer. So when I wake up in the morning, I usually like look at it to see if anybody's and then I just know that I have people on there. And then when I get to the office, I look to see if they've responded to the text message. So I have like this whole process that I do, because if they're responding in the morning, then I'm like, okay, then they're awake. Like I can call them in the morning and maybe talk to them.
Yeah. If they're coming in through the day and you see them, if you can call them within 10 minutes of them coming in, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But obviously you're not going to do that if they're coming in at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm at the office, I have it up on my computer at the office, but sometimes if I'm doing something else, I probably 10 minutes is, I know that it would probably be good, but sometimes I don't look at it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
You're wearing other hats.
but I try and keep track of it like every single day, like even on the weekends, if I see somebody come in and it's daytime and they have contacted me within the past hour through text message, I'll be like, oh, I'll give you a call on Monday. Just even if it's Sunday, like I'll just write back to them and be like, oh, I'll give you a call on Monday. So two of those people that said, oh, great, I'll talk to you tomorrow or Monday, then they don't answer like when I call on Monday. So I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And that it happens, like patients are. So what I usually do for my follow-up is one week I'll do Monday, Wednesday, and one week I'll do Tuesday, Thursday, so that you're catching them different days and then flip-flopping times. Because I had tried the call every day, and then it was like sometimes that would be when I'd get the angry call back. So we tried to, over 2 weeks, they'll get their 4 calls basically.
That's what I'm trying to do, because initially I was calling too much and people were like, okay, this is like not cool, like this is desperate, don't call me anymore. Like, so I'm like,
okay. Well, Jen, and Dr. Ong, let's communicate outside Zoom. They're going to shut us down here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I'll email you, Dr. Ong, or you can give me a call if you want. But yeah, Lily, I really appreciate your time.
thanks, Lily.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Good
you
luck,
too, Jen.
guys.
Thank
Stay
you.
well.
All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hello. No, good.